beautiful. So welcome to part 3 of the 15 reasons why it isn't your weight making you unhappy. And if you haven't seen the other 2 videos yet, I'm going to link them into the notes below this video. So go and check those out. Now this video is kind of an impromptu one because I realized as I was doing the other 2 videos that it needed a third part. It needed a little bit of, I guess, closure, maybe, for want of a better word. Kind of, just like wrap it all up nicely in a bow. Because I talked about all of those and I did give you a few things that you can do along the way. But I realised you probably need a bit more than that. That, yes, you have now learnt about all of those 15 reasons, but what do you do about them? Where do you go from here? Because when it comes to learning stuff, we learn it, but then we kind of tend to just stay where we are. There is no movement in the direction that we want to go. So I'm going to help you get a little bit of movement. It's not going to be massive. I'm not going to ask you to do crazy, weird, like huge things. Just something really simple. Something that I didn't realize I was doing until I've been reading some books. And these books are written by Esther and Jerry Hicks, and they're the works of Abraham. And they really talk about getting to a place of feeling, of knowing your feelings and using your feelings as a guidance system. And for me, I spent decades in the emotions of anger, the emotions of fear, the emotions of frustration, and all of those really, really horrible feelings that I did not like being in. They kept me stuck. They kept me in this mindset and this thought process, and I call it the vicious vortex. And this vicious vortex is something that you kind of, you feel like you fall into it and you just can't get out of it, and your mind is just going and going and going, and you go from one negative thought to the next, to the next, to the next, and before you know it, you were sort of in a pretty good place, but now you're all the way over here and you feel like absolute shit. And we tend to do that as women, especially when it comes to loving ourselves and loving our bodies. And something as simple as eating food can send us into an absolute spiral. Because honestly, we allow ourselves, without knowing that we're allowing ourselves, to be in that, because we don't always understand that we can get ourselves out of that. We might not be able to make huge leaps out of it, but we can at least take one little step and just start pulling ourselves out of it. So there is 2 things that go together, and one doesn't necessarily precede the other. They sort of go with each other, and one is thought and one is feeling. So when you think something, it goes down into your body and you start feeling it. And when you feel something, it moves up into your head and you start thinking it. So whether that's a negative thought or a positive thought, it is exactly the same process. We tend to believe that we can't think positive things about ourselves. That is just too impossible. It's just something that can't be done. That we are only capable of all of that negative thought and that negative feeling. And if we do feel good about ourselves, well, we just, again, we disallow that, and we go back into that stuff that we've always known. So, if you're feeling if you're feeling shitty about yourself, like you might not be all the way down this end of the scale, like where you're really fucking so angry and just pissed off, which is where I lived most of the time. I really did. This was just my safety zone. This is what I was comfortable in. And I've really brought myself up here now. And along the way, I have allowed myself little by little by little. I was not able to jump from here to here. That's too big of a jump. That's too big of a leap. And that would just, probably just drive me crazy. There's no way I'd be able to do it because I didn't believe that I had the capability of doing it. So it's honestly, it's little incremental steps along the way where you allow yourself to think better and feel better. You give yourself permission to know that you have the power to change whatever's going on in here and whatever's going on in here. And when you start doing that, you realize that you get further and further and further away from this comfort zone, from this safety zone, from the place that you've always lived. And before you know it, you're like, wow, I'm actually in a pretty good place. Maybe I don't feel exactly how I want to feel. That's kind of up there still. But at least I'm here. And I'm not living in this place anymore. So whatever this place is for you, all of these negative thoughts and these negative feelings, reach for something that's just, a little bit above that. If you're feeling angry, notice why. What is causing that anger? And realize, so realize what is causing that anger, okay? Find out what it is. And then take the next step up in your thought process and in your feeling process. And consciously decide to feel and think just that little bit better. Now this could take days. It could even take weeks, potentially even months, depending on how quickly you want to work. And it took me a long time because I didn't realize that was sort of what I was doing. But every negative thought and feeling that I had, once I had the understanding that I didn't have to think that way anymore, and I didn't have to feel that way anymore, then the movement was there. I allowed myself to move. So if you are feeling really angry about who you are and what you look like, understand why. For me, there was a lot of beliefs. So there's so many beliefs that kind of sit under all of that. And they're what's called limiting beliefs because they limit us and they prevent us from moving forward, from moving out of that. So for me, I believed that I was hopeless. I believed that I always had this sense that I was wrong all the time, that everything I did was wrong. Even though I knew what I was doing was right, there was still that gut feeling that it was the right thing, but there was just that another feeling within me that just kept telling me that I was doing the wrong thing. And I believed that I wasn't worthy of any goodness, of any love. Not from anyone out there, and definitely not from inside of myself. So they were my driving force. They were the ones that led me to just be who I was, which was not very good, which was being stuck in that anger because I didn't think that I could get out of that anger. So my next step up from that was just knowing that I could feel better than that I didn't have to feel angry, and noticing why I was angry in that moment. Because when we're angry in that moment, chances are it's not about that moment. Chances are it's about all of the shit that's like behind us, but we drag along with us. and we drag it into every single moment, and it powers our emotions. So understanding what is driving you in that moment and knowing that you can just stop, you can slow down a second, and you can think and feel the next best feeling that moves you up and away from that keeps you moving forward to where you actually want to be. And for me, my word this year is joy. I completely lost my joy, even in those moments and those times and those experiences where I was really kind of, I was having a good time, but I didn't allow myself to be joyful about them. I didn't appreciate them. They felt so unreal to me that I was actually even living them, that I was kind of numb to all of that. It felt like someone else was experiencing all of that. But we try so hard to do all of the things. I need to do this and I need to do that, and if I just do this, then I'm gonna get this. And this result is gonna happen. I'm gonna feel better and I'm gonna get what I want, and I'll lose the weight and I'll feel better. If I lose the weight, I'm gonna feel better. If I lose the weight, I'm gonna feel better. But what if you felt better first? What if you felt... It took me a while to get to that love place for myself, but I started to feel better about who I was and what I looked like. My body is my body. Yes, I can work out. I do love working out. I like lifting really heavy weights. I've realized that is something that I really, really enjoy doing. But my body kind of is what it is in this moment, and yes, it will change over time, but I have to allow it to change, and I have to allow myself to welcome in that change, and then welcome in the good feelings about who I am and what my body looks like. It's that thinking and it's that feeling. Thinking better, feeling better, thinking better. And that gets you moving along that scale. That is why I created this free Love Body Day Planner. It asks a few questions that are very simple, but yet can be very powerful. And if it's something that you do every morning, because there is that question, how do I want to feel today? If you just want to feel good, then you write good. And you know that that's the feeling you're aiming for, so you can work towards getting that feeling. And when your thoughts are not very good, you do what I like to call reverse it and replace it. You reverse that thought and then you replace it with something better. So some other questions that this planner has is, what do you want to eat today? What do you want to nourish your body with? And that is a very powerful tool in knowing what you're going to eat for the day, instead of getting to the fridge, or you get to lunchtime and you're at work and you're like, I don't have any lunch. I don't know what I want to eat. Like, if you plan ahead a little bit, that sort of takes the pressure off. Takes the pressure off yourself and really just getting into a crazy mindset of not knowing what you want to eat, or choosing foods that you know that you don't really want to eat, but it's quick and it's easy. You're not necessarily enjoying it, but it's there. So it takes all of that away. And all of that stress about what you're eating can just leave your body, and it leaves you free to feeling that you want to feel. So there's also moving. How do you want to move your body today? How do you want to love your body today? And there's so much more in there. And it's a 7-day planner, but it's downloadable and you can use it as many times as you need to. But But it really does help you to get to those feelings that you want to feel. And changing your thought patterns about how you feel. Because you are allowed to feel better. You are allowed as a woman to love who you are and to love your body. We've been taught for too many years that we are never good enough the way that we are. And as I said in, I think video 1, in part 1, we all have to be this one body type, this one person. And we're not that. We're just not that. So love yourself in all that you are now. And know that you have the power to think and to feel whatever it is that you want to think and feel. And that you can get yourself away from where you are now. And you can keep going further and further and further until you find that ultimate joy and that ultimate bliss, that ultimate happiness that we're all looking for. It's in here. It will never be out here. Things out here will enhance it, and you get to have wonderful experiences and meet new people and just enjoy things that come into your life. But when you feel it in here first, and you think it in here, you think and you feel, and you feel and you think, you move up the scale. You're moving away from where you are now, and you're getting closer and closer to that ultimate feeling. And it feels amazing. I never believed that I could ever get to this spot. Like ever. I honestly thought I was stuck in that misery for the rest of my life. Because that's who I was. That's just how I felt, and that's just who I was, and oh well. No matter how many times I tried to be better, I was stuck. Because this was not matching this, and this was not matching this. They have to match. You have to get them in alignment with one another. You can think good feelings. You can think good thoughts. You can think good anything about anything. But if it doesn't match in here, then it's just completely out of whack. That's why affirmations don't always work, because we're saying them, but we're not feeling them. Everything is about feeling. Everything we do is about creating a feeling. So create that feeling that you want to feel. Know it, understand it, and allow it. All right, beautiful. Thank you for coming on this little journey with me. These 15 reasons why it isn't your weight making you unhappy. Because it isn't. And you deserve so much more than allowing your weight to prevent you from living the life that you want to live. It is there for the taking. Everything that you want is there for the taking. Think it and feel it. And I'll put the link in the show notes to the planner for you to download and begin your Love Body Day. All right, beautiful. I'll see you soon.